So this evening, we are very fortunate to have a guest chef with us who is going to help us learn a whole new skill, a great new food. The refreshment is your choice. And I would be joining you for cooking, but I have a very small galley kitchen and I could not figure out how to get a laptop and ingredients and utensils.
Yes. Terrific. Great. So sorry for being late again. My name is Allison Farkas. I've been so looking forward to this. I love that some of you are in the kitchen, and for those of you who aren't, and like, for example, Miriam, you're more of a sweet than a savory, but I really hope that you try this. It's super easy, and I'm just happy that you're, the ones who are not cooking that are still here participating by watching, and please be vocal, ask questions along the way as well. So before I start, can we all please either preheat your oven or your toaster? If you have I have a Breville toaster oven and it preheats rather quickly. So whichever you're using, because we're gonna make this crostini and roast some tomatoes. So let's preheat whatever, oven you're using to 400 degrees. Okay, be right back.
And I can make a suggestion to folks. You can change your screen image to be speaker. So that'll give you the opportunity to focus a little bit more on the cooking. If you want a different, instead of doing gallery where you have pictures of everybody at every moment, I'm going to blank my screen so that I don't have activity that is distracting. So, so good luck.
Allison, can I ask you a question?
Please do.
I thought we were making something with cheese, not potatoes.
No, we're not doing anything with potatoes.
Oh, I thought you just said potatoes.
Oh, tomato.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It made me nervous. I'm like, maybe she has another recipe.
No. And does everyone have the tools and the ingredients that were expressed in advance in front of them? Yes. Okay. Great.
Yes.
So does everyone have something to enjoy, like a cocktail, a glass of wine, if you do? So, okay, great. So I'm just going to pour myself a little glass of wine before I begin here. So my name is Allison Farkas. I am from Miami Beach. Originally moved to the Northeast with my husband and our daughter in 2014. We lived in South Jersey in Mount Laurel for 5 years, and now I live in Wynwood, which is Lower Merion. I absolutely love it here. And does someone else live in Wynwood? Really? Okay, we'll talk about that later. Great. Hi, neighbor. So I have done various things in my life. I was a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley for 12 years. It was a family business. My dad was a stockbroker, that's what they called it then. But fast forward, really what I love is food and cooking and entertaining and reading every page of Bon Appetit or Food and Wine. I'm not a chef. I'm not comfortable with the word chef. It's flattering, but I would say I'm a chef in my own house, but I don't want anyone else to call me a chef. I love to cook. I love to inspire. Some of you may be better cooks than me, but this is really just about getting together over an activity in the kitchen, creating the same thing. It's engaging, it's fun, and that's really what it's about. I did this in Miami, this Sauté and Soiree, but it was in person. So I would go to someone's home. Let's say, Zoe, you and I would talk in advance. Okay, what sorts of things? Let's do Italian. Let's do tapas. And then I'd come up with a menu. You'd invite your friends. Everyone would sort of roll up their sleeve. I'm not a chef. I'm not putting on a toque and having all you listen. It's about everyone participating, everyone slicing, dicing, chopping. It's a little hectic, but it's fun. And then we all eat together. So moved here. I did that in Miami. And then I worked for a catering business in Miami before I left, and moved here. And I thought, you know what? I want to revive this. I want to revisit this Sauté and Soiree. And in person is great, but the virtual, the way I see it is, if 90-year-old grandparents are Zooming and saying, honey, who are we Zooming with tomorrow? Then it's a platform for everyone. And there's opportunity for fun things to do. So there are meetings, and then there's wine tasting and cooking and flower arranging. So this concept is really great for, you know, if you own a business and you want to keep your team engaged, it's great for that. It's great for this networking group. If you want to send a thank you to a client for referring you business, send them a Sauté and Soiree certificate. It's great for family who's spread out among, you know, the country and can't get together. So it's really, you know, my goal is to if after this session you say to yourself, wow, I really never thought about putting smoked paprika and capers in with tomatoes and roasting them and putting them on a, you know, the flavor you'll see of that combination is different than just plain roasted tomatoes. So I do hope you guys got some of that pimenton, the smoked paprika, because it's a game changer, not just for tomatoes. It's great, like, you know, on a rub, you know, you can rub it on some meats, roasting other vegetables, but it's really lovely with the tomatoes. So I would say for those of you, like I said before, not participating in the actual cooking, please ask questions along the way. I did say put questions in the chat, but I really want it to be vocal and verbal. And if, you know, if one interrupts the other, we'll just get it all out and have a lot of fun. And the last thing I want to say before we get started, and before, you know, any questions, is if after this is, you know, once this is over, if you found that it's fun, that it was easy, you know, the entire process of logging on and the ingredients and from A to Z, and that you found it to be like an A+ experience, just that was terrific. That was great. That could I have your permission to send you some information about Sauté and Soiree so that you can perhaps think about it for anyone in your life, your colleagues, your friends, you know, your clients and so forth. So that would be my only ask. And then at this point, I would just ask you if you have any questions before we get cooking.
So the only question we had in the chat was what to preheat the oven to?
400, yeah.
Okay, just wanted to double check. Thank you.
And I would also say that before we start, you know, we were talking about the food that we like to make. So my favorite and the way I cook is more, I would say, Mediterranean meets like California cuisine, which is a bit of an antiquated description, but colorful, vibrant ingredients, nutritious, but I'm not going for like healthy food. It's sort of healthy just by virtue of what we're using and what we're not using. You can see, you know, you can see the food in front of you. It's colorful, it's vibrant, there's nuts sometimes, but you know, if you want to make like beef Wellington, I'm not your girl. If you want to roast fish or branzino and use, you know, just fresh ingredients, yeah, I'm not averse to butter and cheese and things like that. But if you want like thick, heavy sauces or that's not what we're here for. We're here to have fun, make something simple, approachable, and just expand your repertoire a little bit. If that happens, that'd be great. So let's get cooking. So my oven is, my toaster oven is preheated. I don't know if yours is, but we can still sort of get started. So I did say garlic. I don't know if you guys already have the garlic, the whole entire bulb, but you really only need, oh, by the way, I guess I should ask, I see some couples. So, you know, let's first take out the bread, because I'm making this for me in a crostini, right? If you want to use it as a toast and take a bigger piece of bread, you could do that. But so I'm only asking you that because it will gauge how many tomatoes we're using. I just said, you know, cherry tomatoes, right? Or grape tomatoes. So I have a container like this because I'm going to use, you know, put in the fridge what I don't eat. So I would say for, you know, like, let's see this. How many tomatoes did you guys get? Like, you didn't get a tremendous amount, like 1 container of tomatoes. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay. So
we picked ours from our garden.
So what we're going to want is the tomatoes and the bread to both fit in the oven at the same time. So I'm using a toaster oven, but I'm only making like 2 pieces of crostini for myself. So my tomatoes and my crostini will both fit in the oven at the same time. So my question to you is, whatever you're using to cook, the oven, it needs to fit both of those things at the same time. We're not putting them in at the same time, but at one point they will be in at the same time. Does that make sense? Great. Okay. So we're not going to get to the bread yet because the bread's going to be faster. So let's take the garlic, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use 1 clove of garlic. And the way I, this is just going to be, you're not really possibly going to eat the garlic. It's just going to infuse the tomatoes with the oil. So this is the way I do it. I smash it. I just go like this. I take my knife. So everyone, if you're going to, you can slice your garlic if you want. I'm just going to smash it. So I put the garlic clove there. I take my knife and I put the blade away from me. I put just like that, and I go like that. And it's basically,
I don't know
again,
about, I'm sorry, Allison, I don't know about anyone else. I can't see your countertop. So if you want people to see what you're doing,
Lori, if you have speaker, Lori, if you have speaker view on, you'll only see Allison talking. But if you want, you can find the Daniel Farkas's iPhone and pin it. So if you click on the 3 dots for more and you say pin, now you can see that one, and you can also pin Allison. So you'll have 2 people. You'll have Allison's face, and you'll have the cutting board next to it if you want to pin both.
Thank you. I learned something new. Thank you, Zoe.
Okay. So I just smashed my garlic. You can chop it up if you want a little bit, but maybe a little. It's just rough. It's just gonna infuse with the garlic and the tomatoes. So with the tomatoes and the oil and everything else. So I just have 1 clove of garlic for like a container of tomatoes. You like more garlic? Add another clove. So we've got the garlic smashed right there. Now, whatever, I did say a bowl, to take a bowl out. So I'm just going to put mine directly into my vessel that I'm using in the oven. But if you have your bowl, I want you to take your tomatoes and put them in the bowl. Then I want you to take that garlic and throw that on top of those tomatoes. Okay, garlic and tomatoes. Now, let's take some olive oil. And by the way, I don't want this to be a recipe. I want this to be eyeballing. You're going to taste this sort of before it goes in the oven. I mean, the tomatoes are going to melt, and it's going to be an entirely different thing. But we're just going to eyeball. We're not going to have these tomatoes swimming in olive oil. So I would say I'm just going to pour about, I'd say 2 tablespoons, just eyeball it. So you don't want a pool of olive oil, just a nice coating of olive oil. And as the tomatoes melt, they're going to melt into that olive oil. Okay. I'm going to add and take out that pimenton, that smoked paprika. So amazing. I'm just going to give it a little sprinkle, okay, because it's a strong ingredient. Maybe just like a little sprinkling. I don't know. I'd say that's 1/4 of a teaspoon, just like a little sprinkling, not too much. We're going to add a little salt and pepper. So the way I do salt is I just take it with my fingertips like this. You can always add more, but you can't take away. I'm just going to take a little pinch of salt. We can always add salt at the end if it's not to our liking, but I'm going to salt those tomatoes and add some pepper, black pepper, any kind you have. And the reason why I said sugar or maple syrup, I've actually used maple syrup and tomatoes, but when it all melts down, the smoked paprika and the maple and the tomatoes and the garlic are really delicious, delicious combination. So I'm going to add just a little, maybe like a teaspoon. You want to use honey. You want to sprinkle it with stevia if you want, just or not. I just like the sweetness that it brings out. So I'm going to add a little, maybe like a teaspoon of maple syrup. Now I did say capers. You don't have to use capers. I liked it. Capers to me are like little salt beads. So just a few sprinkled through there. So I have capers here that I've already drained. By the way, am I going at a good pace here so far? Yeah. Okay. Great. So I'm gonna take, not a lot, because this isn't about capers, this is about roasted tomatoes. But the capers, just a few dotted through there, you know, for that. Oh, there's something salty in there. Just gonna throw some capers on there. So I've got the tomatoes, the garlic, the olive oil, the salt, pepper, the sweetener, I use maple syrup, and capers. And I suppose you could have sliced the tomatoes first, but it's really not necessary because they're going to shrivel in the oven at this high heat. And when they come out, you can leave them that way, all shriveled, or you can smash them a little bit and release some of the juices. Whatever you want, it's up to you. So I have my mixture now. I'm just gonna, so I just even like tasted that oil. I taste the pimenton, I taste the salt, a little bit of the garlic in there. And that for me is ready to go in my 400-degree oven. And I will wait until you guys are ready too. How are we looking? And you know what, you guys, if you want to turn your, turn the mute off so that I can hear and we can chat. That's a fun part.
Allison,
Great, yes,
so we don't put the lemon in yet, right?
correct,
And, or the parsley.
correct.
Okay.
Joe is now playing with his food.
No.
How long do we put it, leave it in the oven?
Yeah, so I want to leave this in the oven for at least, I mean, this will be good for 20 minutes at least. So we're going to put it in the oven. Then we're going to start with the other components. So are we all ready to put that in the oven? Great. Be right back.
I'm missing all this food. I'm getting hungry.
It seems so strange to have Beacon people being quiet. Let's share. How does it feel? Do you feel a gourmet or gourmand already?
Anything with garlic, I'm sold.
I have to agree with you. Anyone else want to share some thoughts?
I never used smoked paprika before.
Oh, it's
So
amazing.
good. Are
I
you
have a
putting
ton of
the
paprika, but I looked at my bottles and none of it said smoked paprika, so I had to go out and get some.
I will tell you one other thing I do with smoked paprika is if I have people over, I take roasted almonds. You can use raw almonds too. And I get a little bit of olive oil hot in a pan. I add the almonds and then I add smoked paprika and a little salt and I just give it a saute.
Right.
And they just get more toasted and smoky and they're great, you know, for noshing on nuts with wine and cocktails and whatever. So that's a nice thing to do.
Allison,
You know
did you
what?
ever do
This
it?
is a little tweak, you guys. Sorry. Bring your oven to 425 for me. I'm sorry, only because we got cooking a little later. So, I mean, we will be done by 8, but I just want to accelerate the shriveling and the concentrating in the flavor. So if you guys don't mind, even if it takes a little time, can you bring your oven up to 425 for me, please? That way we'll definitely, because I really want those tomatoes to roast and we're not doing a low and slow. We're doing a kind of like a high and fast. So, and I'll make sure I do that too.
Allison, did you ever put paprika in deviled eggs?
I'm sorry?
I said, we put paprika in our deviled eggs.
Do you really?
So good.
Wait, paprika or smoked paprika?
Smoked
No.
paprika.
Smoked paprika. Okay, that sounds amazing.
It's a,
That
that
sounds
and
amazing.
sun-dried tomatoes.
Yum. That sounds so good. Okay, all right, great. So we've gotten that out of the way. Now we're gonna take our bread. Now I've already sliced mine. So what I would do is take your baguette and a serrated knife on your cutting board. You can cut it on the diagonal or you can cut them straight. And I would go with about a 1/2 inch thick, you know, like a crostini size, like that.
So Allison, does it make a difference if you cut it straight or you cut it on the diagonal?
It's entirely up to you. It's all about whatever strikes your fancy that day. So it's entirely up to you. So I'm gonna make 3.
Yeah, I got a couple.
Okay.
While you're doing that, I'm just telling you, I'm pouring a little bit of olive oil in, I don't know if you used a bowl, and I'm sorry, you may need another one, in just like a little vessel so that I can brush. You can pour it directly onto the bread if you want. And if you want, you can even use an olive oil spray. So I've done that before. It's, you know, just use olive oil spray. It's the same thing. If you don't have that, you can use regular olive oil. And you want to brush the olive oil on both sides of the bread. We're only going to be toasting it on one side, but you want to brush it on both sides. So how's the paste so far?
What are you putting the bread on?
Well, my bread is on a cutting board right now. And after we've brushed the olive oil onto the bread, we're going to put that in the oven as well and turn that into a toast. So the tomatoes need to cook longer, but these are going to go in, you know, these are going to go in as well.
Allison,
Yes.
what is the paste? I don't understand what you just said. How are you doing with the paste? But I didn't hear.
Oh, pace, the pace of me talking and so forth.
Oh, paste. See, okay.
I'm sorry.
Another question for you, Allison. It looks like your bread has some flavor to it.
Yeah, I always go for multigrain just because, I don't know. I actually like the nuttier flavor of like a whole grain bread, but it's not necessary. It's just what I bought. So I just have like a seeded multigrain, but I just said regular baguette. So I'm going to start brushing oil onto my baguette. And you don't need to season it because the tomatoes already have seasoning.
Allison, what exactly is in that pan you're doing?
I put olive oil in here. It's just my little vessel to put the olive oil in. I could have just put a little bit on the bread and then, you know, brushed it on. You could use a spoon to just smear it on. It's just about getting the oil on the bread in any way that.
So it's just straight olive oil.
Just straight olive oil. Yep.
On one side, right?
I'm
Thank
doing
you.
both sides. You can do one side, that's fine. But I'm doing both. But we're only going to cook it on the one side. How are we all doing so far?
Great. Doing
Good.
great.
Good. Is anyone else drinking white wine?
I am.
Okay. Cheers. Salute.
My tomatoes already started popping in the oven. I can hear them.
Great. Oh my God. Great. All right. And by the way, these tomatoes are really nice with, if you have extra, tossed into pasta with some fresh basil, or spread on a sandwich, or just put out as a dip. It's really nice because they get all concentrated and jammy. I would call it sort of jammy. All right. So I'm going to put, the next thing I want to do is I want to put that bread into the oven. That may come out before the tomatoes, but let's get that turned into a crostini. So are we all ready to put the bread into the oven?
For us non-cookers, what makes it a crostini?
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Laura?
What a crostini, how would you define that as opposed to a baguette?
Crostini is, and I should know this, bruschetta comes from the word bruscare in Italian, which means to grill over hot flame. But a crostini is basically like a crunchy, you know, flat sort of, you know, bread that's turned into like a crunchy vessel. I'm all about etymology and things like that. I'm just, I guess, having a moment. So I guess a crostini is just a thin, you know, piece of bread, Italian bread, baguette that's been sliced and then toasted. Usually has a little butter or olive oil on it, and it's usually a vessel for something else or served with cheese. So
Thank you.
All right,
Yeah,
so we're
you're
putting
welcome.
this in the oven now?
yes, yes. And while you're there, give those tomatoes a little shake. Like shake the pan that it's in, or use a spoon and move them around just to coat.
There's not. There's like not a downtown. There's South.
Okay. Okay. All right. So bread in the oven, tomatoes in the oven. Are we all caught up? Yeah, because I can't hear you. Got a lot of are still on
Yes.
mute. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Great.
Yep,
All
we're
right.
good.
All
So
good.
now what I want to do is let's get our herbs ready. So this is how I don't know if you have chopped up your parsley. I just want to show you how I do it. So I've taken if you can see here, I've taken the parsley and I've sort of ripped off the stems. I just sort of twisted them off, and I still have, you know, some leaves here, right? And you could do this with basil too, or any other herb, but with a bunch like this, and I probably won't be using all of this, but I do love fresh herbs, and everything I do, it just makes it so vibrant. So this is what I do with parsley. And I didn't learn any knife skills from, cooking school, just watching and doing. So I roll it up, I roll it. And then if you can, even like fold it over. Just, you want to create like this little package. This will give you, finely like small little pieces of parsley. You could do a rough chop if you want. That's different. If you just want, you could tear the leaves off if you want, whatever you want to go with. But this is a nice way to get small little pieces. So I've rolled it, and then I've sort of folded it, and I've created this like little package. And then I don't know how comfortable each one of you is holding a chef's knife, but what I do is my hand is like this. Again, this is not about knife skills. Okay, this is about just creating food together. But if you're comfortable with it, so I just keep the knife grounded on the cutting board, and I just go in a back and forth motion. As I'm doing that, I'm moving my fingers away from the knife. And then I have just like a nice, again, just, you could do a rough chop if you want. It's just herbs. It's rustic. This is all rustic, good food. Nothing fancy. So once we've done that, by the way, does anyone have a really nice smell going on in their kitchen from the tomatoes?
It's awesome.
Good. Okay. All right. How's the parsley? Are we good with the parsley?
Yep.
Good.
We're doing tarragon.
I love tarragon. Oh God, I love it.
Oh, good. Yeah, we do too.
Is it an either or situation or a both?
No, it's about whatever you want. That's
Okay.
It's all about your taste and what you want.
We actually grew some Mexican tarragon that's still thriving in our garden this year. So
What
we've
is
got a ton of
Mexican
it.
tarragon?
It's a little bit spicier than like French tarragon.
Tarragon.
Really nice.
Oh, I love
Does
that.
it come back for you? Will it come back
Oh,
next?
this is the first year we've planted it, so we'll see.
It's a perennial.
Oh, Barb says it's a perennial. She would know.
My French tarragon keeps coming back.
Yeah, our French did for a while, and then
Yep.
it just kind of died out. But we
Yeah.
just planted this Mexican tarragon this year, and it's fantastic.
That
Have
sounds
to try it. That sounds good.
I've not ever used tarragon actually in Mexican cooking. Do you use it? Or no, it's just Mexican tarragon.
It's just Mexican tarragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, the first time we used it along with basil and parsley, and then we coated some fresh mozzarella slices, and then like packed them with the fresh herbs and put them over fresh tomatoes. It was awesome.
That sounds delicious.
Yep.
So what you just volunteered is like, this is what this is all about.
I can help you.
Like that's what this is all about. Like everyone sharing and enjoying. And I never even heard of Mexican tarragon. So you just made this experience all that much richer. So thank you. All right, great. So that should be done. Now we're going to zest. Let's zest a lemon. We're not going to use the whole thing actually. Just so if you have I have a microplane. This is a fantastic tool. I don't know if any of you have one of these. Other graters are good, but this is terrific for Parmesan. It comes out like snow, zesting nutmeg or grating nutmeg. So let's just zest just a little bit, just a touch that you're going to put on each piece of bread. So what we're going to do is we're going to layer. We're going to take, when the crostini is ready, we're going to put some goat cheese, if you do goat cheese or ricotta, or if you want any of whatever cheese you have, on top of the warm crostini. We're going to take that lemon zest, put it on top of that. We're going to do our tomatoes, and then we're going to do the fennel, which I haven't gotten to if anyone bought that, and then the parsley, and that's going to be our little composed crostini. So I'm going to zest some of my lemon.
Allison, could you repeat the name of the tool that you're using, please?
Yes, it's a microplane. Microplane. It's just a really great tool for zesting. Great for zesting citrus. Like I said, nutmeg, ginger. The juice comes out when you use this zester. It's just fantastic. I'll write it right now.
I use this microplane, and this works really great. I mean, I've got some.
Yeah, microplane.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Terrific. Okay. So I'm going to zest a little bit of lemon, and then I'm going to put it on the side of my cutting board near my parsley. And it just comes out so beautifully. Great. Okay. So I've got my parsley, my lemon zest. So now, what was the next thing? Oh, let's see. Dice Pro. Oh yeah, the dice is terrific as well. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next thing I wanted to do. So I had suggested fennel. Now that would be just a little bit on top of the tomatoes, because this is about like a marriage of flavor of so many things going on in your mouth. The fennel, not everyone loves it. It tastes licoricey. It's crunchy. So raise your hand if you bought fennel. Okay, so great. So then what I would do is I know it's a big bulb, so if you cook, hopefully you can use it in something else, but, or I'll give you an idea for a fennel salad on another day if you like. So I would just thinly slice, just like take off, I would say like one panel, if you will, one side, and just thinly slice it like matchsticks. You're just going to top your tomatoes with it. So just a few pieces for each piece of crostini. Now I didn't get fennel. Fennel didn't come home with me, but what I did do, I tried to get a little creative. So I took radish, which I love. It's crunchy like fennel. And, pardon me? I'm just telling you what I did to swap out fennel since I didn't have. So if you have fennel, slice it now. If you're not using fennel, no worries. It's still going to be good. And what I did was I just took radish. I sliced it up thin, and then I put it in a mixture with little lemon juice, olive oil, and anise seed. So the anise to me is mimicking the fennel. It's crunchy. So it's crunchy. It's going to taste like fennel, but it's not fennel. So that was my improv. So if you're using fennel, go ahead and slice it. By now, guessing you should be done. And then the last element is the goat cheese. Does anyone, for some people don't like goat cheese, but the goat cheese on the warm, great. Who else has goat cheese? So I would just take out your goat cheese, and you just want to do a smear, nothing too thin, but not a blob of it. When the crostini comes out and it's, cool enough to handle, but still warm, you're going to spread some goat cheese onto that crostini. Okay, so let's just have.
What would you use as a substitute? Because I sometimes find goat cheese quite pungent.
Yeah, goat cheese is pungent. So I would go with a ricotta. Ricotta cheese, nice and mild. Or, it's really good. It's always in the grocery store. It's in the regular grocery store, and it flies if you have people over. Is the Borsen cheese? Do you know what that is?
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, yeah. So it comes in it's Borsen, Boursin. I'll type it in right here. I'm sure I can find a picture. And what it is, it's a soft cheese. It almost has like a texture of, I don't know. It's like cream cheesy, but it has herbs and garlic in it. And it comes wrapped in foil, and it comes in a box, and it says Borsen cheese. So that spread on a piece of toast is just as good as this. So ricotta or Borsen, I'd go with. Yeah. Has anyone else tasted Borsen cheese? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I've had it. Yes, it's good.
It's so good.
Fabulous.
Okay. So really at this point, let's have a look at our tomatoes and crostini, because everyone's oven works differently. Okay.
I was just looking at mine. Yeah.
So the tomatoes should be shriveled up a little bit. If they have some color on them, terrific. And your crostini, we don't want to burn them, but we do want it to be crunchy. So okay, I'll be right back. 1 sec. So my crostini is ready. It's golden brown.
Yeah, mine is too.
Okay, hopefully it's not too well done. Is it too well done? Because it was at 425. Yeah. Anyone else?
I took mine out about 10 minutes ago.
Okay. Zoe, how you doing? Is your crostini ready?
It's like 30 seconds, a minute. So I'm just gonna leave it. You can keep going.
Okay.
What did you say you put with the radish, lemon, olive oil, and what else?
So I just did a little bit of fresh lemon juice, olive oil, and anise, which is what the flavor of fennel is. It's that sort of licoricey flavor. So I wanted to mimic it as much as possible, and that's what I came up with.
What would you do if you didn't have aniseed?
Maybe a little fennel seed. You could use fennel seed.
Or Mexican tarragon.
Or Mexican tarragon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a plate for myself. Excuse me 1 second.
I found fennel. I don't think I've ever used it.
Yeah, I don't like fennel.
That's great, huh?
Yeah.
So are your tomatoes, yes, the more garlicky, the better. Cheers to that. Is everyone's tomatoes, are their tomatoes sort of shriveling and smelling good and getting a little color to them? That's what we want. We don't want them to look like what they look like when we put them in.
Really want garlicky, rub a clove of garlic over the crostini after it comes out of the oven before the cheese.
That's a brilliant idea. I love it. Let's do it. I love it.
What are we doing?
So we're going to, instead of smashing the garlic, it's very classic in Italian, even Spain, Spanish cooking, like pan con tomate, which is crostini rubbed with garlic and tomatoes, like raw tomato and their juices on top. So if you just take a garlic clove and cut it in half, and then you rub that exposed half onto your warm crostini, you're going to increase that garlic flavor. I'm all about it. Love your idea. So I'm doing this right here. So
Awfully small
garlic.
to hold the bread. Usually get a bigger piece.
Yum.
Yeah.
Living it.
Now you're talking my language. All
Huh.
right. I like that. I'm so jealous right now. I'm not cooking. My wife ordered Chinese, and I'm like, yeah, this looks so good. Everyone looks like they're really enjoying this right now.
Aw.
But remember, we're having it recorded. So
Listen, I'll be back. I'm gonna talk to Miriam about, you know, this org and what you guys do, and I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So my tomatoes smell good and look good. I mean, it's 7:30, but you know, we're gonna arrange it. We're gonna eat together and then chat a little more. So it's really hard to say, you know, how long. I can never say how long something's gonna take because you never know the pace. But I just wanted to make something simple, easy, and I love that we're, you know, just all doing this together. So we can continue to chat, or we can take our tomatoes out of the oven. The goal is for them to be shriveled up, for that olive oil to get that reddish color. I mean, and for the flavors to concentrate basically. And the tomatoes should be transformed and not really taste as tomatoey, and they should be sweet and smoky. And
So you're drizzling that over the bread now?
No, we're gonna do some layering. So let's take the tomatoes out. If everyone's tomatoes look the way I just described.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice smell.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit like fancy capris.
Yeah. Or Chris, or what do you get when you go to the Chinese one? Crostini.
Okay.
Right?
So now let's take.
You're right. Right. Yeah, that's more like it.
Let's take a crostini, and if you have the goat cheese, spread some of that goat cheese on there.
You like it, Tiger?
So we're making the noise,
She is.
right? That's the
Oh,
video.
that's a video, yeah. So probably we're showing to some extent, maybe.
Did you take us off mute?
Yeah. Our bread, we got a loaf of a skinnier loaf of bread that I baked in the, it was like half baked, I guess, and you bake it in 12 minutes, I think. And it's this size. So it's going to be a little hard to put on, but it's delicious.
Okay.
So Allison, does it taste better if the bread is fresher, less fresh? You know, I think about when my mom used to make stuffing. She used to get bread that was a little staler.
Yeah.
It worked better.
You know what? As long as you can cut it, then, and you're gonna put olive oil on it, it's gonna petrify. You know, it's gonna turn to a toast, no matter what. The bottom line is being able to get that knife through the bread. And you can reconstitute older bread by sprinkling a little water on it, and then putting it in the oven, and it will sort of soften as it cooks. That was like a trick I heard once. But yeah, I mean, I will say for like, which I love making, a panzanella, which is the Italian salad, doesn't really have lettuce in it. It's got made typically with stale bread, which becomes the crouton, and then whatever fresh ingredients, you know, are available, like in summer, tomatoes, basil, red onion, and a crouton. So panzanella is made with like stale bread, but yeah, you could use stale bread with this, sure. So I put my goat cheese on my crostini. Now we're gonna just sprinkle some of that lemon zest on there. We're just layering some flavor, right? A little bit of lemon zest. It's not necessary to use lemon zest. I'm just going for, you know, layers of flavor. So when you bite it, you're like, wow, that tastes good. Okay, after the zest.
The skin of the lemon.
Oh my God.
After the zest, we're gonna spoon some tomatoes on there. They may be hot.
Lemon meringue.
And the oil, you know, you could save that oil. Now you have a smoky roasted tomato oil. Don't throw that out. You can turn that into a salad dressing with some lemon juice or white wine vinegar, and you have a delicious salad dressing. So I'm going to spoon some of my tomatoes, which have gotten some color. Try to get some of those capers in there.
It almost seems like it would have been easier to grate the lemon zest right over the bread.
Yeah,
No?
it would have been easier to do that. Sorry about that. I realized that when we were doing
Yeah,
it.
kind of lumped together.
Probably not much of you.
It's a never-ending learning process. working in the kitchen.
Yep.
How am I gonna get my mouth around it?
So I've got the tomatoes on there. I'm gonna put my radish. If you have fennel, go for that. And then I'm gonna top it with some of that parsley.
Wow. This is amazing, Allison.
Oh, thanks. Well, eat it first and then let me know.
I can tell, I can tell.
Can we eat ours if we're ready?
Sure, we can all do it together on the count of 3. No, I'm kidding. Of course.
It looks
All right,
like
let's
Wait, the longer you leave the
Ready?
tomatoes in there, you
You
know,
want to come down here and try this?
let
It
those
looks
babies
beautiful.
shrivel. They will concentrate and, you know, be even more flavorful. But in this time, you know, as long as they got some color.
Ready, Lee?
Can everyone, if possible, I'd love to see everyone's when they're, Joe, how are you guys? Is there, oh,
Here,
nice.
let me hold this.
Can you see it? Can you see it, Allison? Oh,
Yes, I did see yours, John, and wait, tell me your name. I'm sorry. I only see John Silverstein and
Pam.
Pam. I'm sorry. Okay,
No worries.
sorry, Pam.
And Allison, I have to say we cheated a little bit because our oven is broken. So we broiled our bread and air fried our tomatoes.
I love it. So wait, the air fried tomatoes, did they shrivel up and like concentrate in flavor?
Yeah, our air fryer has a setting called air roast. And so we
Okay.
air roasted them.
Do you have the Ninja?
Yep.
Okay, that's a whole other conversation because I never would have bought an air fryer ever. I'm like, my oven could do everything, and my neighbors got me an air fryer for my birthday, and even my husband. It's an amazing device. It's
So it's so funny
incredible.
that you say that because we never would have bought one either.
Yeah.
Except that our oven isn't working and the part to fix it is on back order for forever. So we bought it as like a stopgap.
Yeah.
But I'm now obsessed with it.
I'm obsessed. I'm so obsessed.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm obsessed is how short of a period of time it will give you the result of preheating your oven and waiting 40 minutes to roast a vegetable.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So-
cheers to you guys. I hope you find it yummy.
Delish.
No.
Amazing.
I like heat, so I'm putting some crushed red pepper flakes on mine. And again, I don't come with exact recipe amounts. So if you find it need a little more salt, then maybe the next time you roast the tomatoes with the pimenton and fake capers and a little sugar, add a little more salt. But mine is nicely balanced. I hope yours is too. And I hope you like the marriage of the flavors with the lemon, the goat cheese, the tomatoes. If you taste those capers, you
It's
like
delicious.
it?
Yes, excellent. Thank you.
Very good.
Oh, good.
Might try.
Fine.
I'll try it. Yeah, it looks good.
Now, how many groups can say that they can actually smell and taste the quality of the presentation?
This was a great way to do this.
So I just want you to understand, in the spring, when we decide to bring our picnic, which we were unable to do in August, we're going to call upon all of you to be our chefs.
Very good. Very good. Got great flavor.
Love it.
I like the Mexican tarragon with this.
Yeah, she
What
just
do you
had
like?
a half an
Oh,
inch.
the Mexican tarragon?
Mhm.
I bet it's amazing.
Very
The
nice.
basil would be great, you know?
Delish.
Oh, good. I'm so happy.
Can you taste all the flavors?
Yeah.
It's amazing how many flavors there are.
Yeah.
Lori Rosenthal, will you try this at home?
Why do you think I'm having it recorded?
Okay.
I love the lemon zest in it. It's excellent.
I was pretending to do it for everybody
like
else,
that?
but it's really for me.
tell?
So,
You taste the radish?
Is this recording going to be shared anywhere, or is it just simply for your platform, like on your website?
Yeah,
no,
so it's just
what is it that you're looking
the
for
whole
to be
lemon.
shared
No.
as?
On the outside. A lot of
Oh,
it.
nowhere. Just, if you guys had like social media pages or, anything like that, do you guys share it on there, or
We have
is it
this
just?
8 o'clock political thing.
If you give me
Traditionally, I've shared
permission.
it for Beacon members. I don't know if there's an official policy. Zoe, do you know?
Yeah, we can send a link to anyone who was here or registered, even if they're not a member, because I know you weren't able to follow along, so we can send it to you after.
Okay, yeah, great. And I kind of got the gist of it. And, thank you, Lori, Zoe, and Allison, and Miriam too, for inviting me to this. This was very lovely. I'm definitely gonna, look into, this and, try to invite my wife next time.
But the smoked paprika
He's
is
laughing
really
in the background.
Which would be wonderful. And of course, we'd like to encourage you to consider even becoming a member of Beacon, because we do lots of really wonderful things. And we don't limit it to just presentations. We have socials. We tried to do a picnic in August. David DeCenza, who is our co-chair, looked up in the Farmer's Almanac and they said the weather was going to be terrible, and it was. So we were like, good thing we listened to David.
Yeah, that almanac, take that to the bank.
Absolutely. So we're always looking for new members. We're looking for new types of programming. We really are about networking for life. And if you heard in the introductions, we have people who are in transition. We have people who are looking for clients. We also have a program called Business Networking Roundtable. If you have a business issue that you'd like to have 12 people come together and help you resolve. We also have a new product or service that we just piloted about 2 weeks ago called RRT, Rapid Response Team, that you say, oh, I have a problem I need a quick answer to. Again, we get about a dozen people together. You tell them your problem. In 1 hour, they give you some insights and suggestions, recommendations, take what works, not. So we really are an organization committed to each other. And I think that's something that makes Beacon really special. We do open it up to guests at all times. And right now, because of COVID, the vast majority is virtual, which has its good side in that we've been able to get people from areas that wouldn't necessarily drive across 1 or 2 rivers to get to the event. So please do check us out and learn more about us.
Absolutely. I definitely plan to. This looks absolutely delicious. Everyone's straight munching right now. I'm like so jelly right now, but I'm going to get mine. I'm definitely going to try this out, and you'll hear from me for sure.
So I would love to hear from everyone. Is there a new technique or a new food or a new combination that you learned tonight? Or even just, Allison's just try layering things to, has this opened your mind not just to this one recipe of sorts? How might you incorporate that into your life and make things different? I see a couple of chats coming through, but let's hear some voices would be really great.
Before everyone eats all the food they made, would we be able to take a picture of everyone holding their food up?
Too late.
I'm
done.
With your permission, and you can tell me later if you want to ask, I would love the opportunity to put this on my LinkedIn page, because I'd like to promote, further my Sauté and Soiree. So if everyone is is okay with it, and you can tell me later if they are. I'd love the opportunity to post this and say thank you to Beacon and whatever words, you'd allow me to use. Lori, you could tell me that later.
That would be great. And so let's do it on an opt-out. If there's anyone who feels uncomfortable, please let Zoe or me know, and then I'll get that back to Allison.
Sure. All right, everyone, hold up whatever's left, even if it's only one bite or just one tomato, and I'm going to grab a picture of everyone. All right, I think I got it.
Yay.
Oh, that's gorgeous, Mitch. Nice.
Oh, wow.
Bellissimo.
We did the fennel.
I like it. How do you find the fennel marries with all those flavors?
Very good. And it adds a little texture as well.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yes. Can we go back to Lori's question about, anything, any other feedback about like the flavors? Oh, if I could just actually verbally answer the question about the salad dressing. It wasn't the tomatoes, it was the remnants of the juice and the oil. So have you ever seen a menu, it'll say, roasted pepper oil or beet juice. That could be, so for example, if you roast beets in the oven and you pour olive oil on them, the beets are going to sweat and give off some juice, and it's going to be with the olive oil. It's a gorgeous color, especially if you use a purple beet. And next thing you know, you have like a beet oil, right? So you can turn the remnants of this, whatever liquid is left, and you can call it smoky tomato oil. You could whisk that in with an acid. When I make a vinaigrette, I do 50% acid, like a vinegar or a lemon juice, and 50% oil. Most vinegar recipes will say more oil, but I like it to be more vibrant and bright. So take any oil you want, take any, a cider vinegar, a rice wine vinegar, a lemon juice, or lemon juice and lime juice mixed together. Take that acid, however much you have of that, and then, introduce the oil from these roasted tomatoes, and you'll have a beautiful vinaigrette. It's just greens and some toasted walnuts. So does that answer that question? Okay.
So I'll go first to give an example. I think what I learned is you don't have to be exact, that you can be whatever floats your own boat. So if you like something sweeter, more savory, more textural, that one of the things we always think of, I got to make it perfect. And it says, 1 cup, I'm the old school, you have to take the knife across the top and make sure it was exactly 1 cup, not 1 cup and a few extra little grains of flour, because that's going to throw off the whole recipe. So I think it should encourage a little bit of experimentation, a little customization, and you don't even have to do it the same way twice.
I love it. I love it.
I'm gonna go because I want a little break before our next thing. Allison, we have to go because we actually have a meeting at 8.
Okay, thank you for joining.
Well, thank you so much.
We have to go as well. Our battery's going dead here on our laptop, but thank you very much. This was lovely. Really.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you. And it's just been a great experience.
Thank you, Allison.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So nice to meet you.
What a great business idea.
Thank you. I appreciate
on her
that.
LinkedIn. We'll support it with likes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. What a great opportunity.
Thank you.
So nice to meet you.
Anybody want to add anything before it seems like everybody wants to go finish eating and not necessarily in public?
So
thanks,
Allison. Thank you so very, very much.
You're welcome. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I think they did.
Yes.
I think so too. I think that everybody's just being polite, not talking with their mouth full.
Right. Yeah. Well, so Jess, if you could let me know, I would love to share that onto my onto my Sauté and Soiree page, and to say, who I work with or whatever verbiage you would allow me to use. Sure. That would really help me. And then I have, like a 2-page document that explains what a Sauté and Soiree is. So I would love to be able to provide that to everyone who is here tonight. to help promote me.
Okay, so if you would send that to me.
Yeah.
Zoe and I will get that out to everybody. We're protective
Great.
about releasing anybody's names. And
No. That's perfectly fine. I'm grateful. That's great.
And then I will reach out to you Friday morning to give people all day tomorrow to, if they're uncomfortable with it being shared.
Yep.
I can't imagine it being, but just,
Yeah,
give
I
people
respect it. I totally respect it.
I cannot thank you enough. I think this was wonderful.
Oh, I'm so glad. I thought it was a lot of fun too. And we closed out in the right amount of time. And so thank you
the
for
right
the
number of people.
opportunity, for the exposure. Zoe, it was lovely to meet you. Thanks for everything you've done as well. And Lori, let's stay in touch.
Sounds terrific. Thank you very much.
Have a good evening, ladies.
All right.
Thank you.
You too. Good night.
Take care. Bye.
Beacon is the premier executive networking organization serving the Mid-Atlantic region. To learn more, go to beaconforlife.org.